Hello, PHU community. It is Monday night, and I am so happy that you decided to join in and be with us on the webinar tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the truth about customer platforms with my good friend and co-host, Miss Vernetta R Freeney. So what have you been doing this week? Did you watch the video last week? Quania Johnson. That girl, she took us to how to turn our passions into profits. If you didn't get to watch the video, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure that you go back and you watch all the PHU 2016 videos. I'm so excited about the conference this year. The whole theme about the conference is springing forward in business. How to go from where you are today and spring forward in such a way that you have new revenue, new connections, new customers, and take your dream into a reality, that you have the revenue and the profits to sustain a real business. So PHU 2016 is in full effect. As always, if you have any question or you want up-to-date news about what's going on with Powerhouses United, we want you to hop on over to our website, www.powerhousesunited, and check us out. You can join our mailing list if you're not on our mailing list. That way you can get all of the good information. It's the only way you can get freebies. It's the only way you can get discount codes, is to make sure that you're on that mailing list. So now to get to the nitty gritty, tonight we're going to be talking about customer platforms. So you may like, okay, what's a customer platform? It's just that, a way that you can reach your customers. And Vernetta R Freeney, I've known her, I guess, about 2 years now. She has been great at using different platforms to build her business, to grow an audience, and to convert that audience into customers. When I first met her, she was doing the Fusion Tour. And she also is a blogger, and then she also has a podcast. So she's used email, she's used podcasting, blogging, she's recorded videos. So I felt like she was the perfect guest to teach us about customer platforms, how to monetize our customer platforms, and just talk to us about exactly what is a customer platform and why should we be using them. So without further ado, I want to invite my sister, Vernetta R Freeney, into the webinar, and so she can introduce herself to the wonderful powerhouses that's out there in the world listening tonight.
All right. Hey, thank you for having me tonight, Brandy. I'm excited to join everyone. A little bit about me. Well, we'll start with who I am. I am an outspoken introvert who loves chocolate, brownies, Netflix, reading, and my beloved Dallas Mavericks. And what do? I am a blogger, a podcaster, speaker, but what I do now is help entrepreneurs, teachers, and corporate employees really understand how to curb their burnout through journaling. And during that process, also learn how to accomplish a goal within 90 days. So, as we talk about the platforms, you'll understand what all of that means, as far as what I do. But I always like to tell people who I am, the outspoken introvert, opposed to what I do, because that's a pet peeve of mine. People always say, well, I blah, blah, blah. No, that's what you do. Who are you? So that's a key thing when it comes to your platform as well. Who are you separate from what do you do? What do you provide? That's something, we'll definitely have to talk about when it comes to platforms.
Yeah, so when I think about that and who I am, man, I wear so many hats. So I guess one of the first questions is, I want to ask what our platforms are, but I also want to talk a little bit about what do we share, because people ask me all the time, Vernetta, okay, well, Brandy, what do you do? Some people know that I own a school. Some people know that I'm a minister. A lot of people know that I'm a mother and a teacher. But really, we use everything that we do and all the roles that we play to form a complete person. And so when I think about what I do for Powerhouses United, I really want to connect entrepreneurs to the tools and the resources they need to really grow a strong, profitable business. So I guess that's what I do. So how do I know what platform to choose to explain that to people? So start with the basics. What in the world is a customer platform?
Well, it's really where anyone is there and they're looking to buy, they're looking to shop. So for me, I would say Twitter really was my first platform that I executed where I actually was able to get customers. For me, Facebook is not a platform where I get customers. I'll get them here and there, but I don't really focus on Facebook because I know that's not where I'm going to make money. And a lot of people get frustrated because they're on Facebook, they're posting, they're doing all this stuff, and then they're like, well, no one's buying. Well, Facebook may not be the platform where your customers are. You have to know where your customers are. And you also have to know what you're selling if it fits for that platform. So when I was doing Fusion, it worked for Twitter because we were doing Twitter chats every week. We were having a lot of quick engagement. So that platform worked to fill that event. When it comes to the podcast, I'm using Instagram and LinkedIn. And a lot of my podcast listeners are coming from Instagram and LinkedIn. So first you have to know where they are. Because Facebook for me is just, a kiki type of place where I go have a good time. And more people follow me on Facebook because that's where you're getting to know who I am. If you want to know more about what I do, then you will go on Instagram, you will go on LinkedIn. So you also have to know how you want to use those platforms.
So those platforms that you mentioned there, they're basically social media platforms. And so I know that a lot of people, they're Facebook addicts. They do Facebook ads. A lot of our followers actually have product-based businesses. Maybe they sell on Etsy or they sell T-shirts, and they post things, but a lot of them have had a hard time connecting to customers. So some of them want to know, well, should I start a blog or should I start, a podcast? Or how do you know when it's time to start something like a blog or a podcast?
When you're ready for the commitment. I always tell people, if you're not going to be committed to the platform, then don't join it. I knew I wasn't going to be committed to Instagram, and that's why I didn't join until January of this year. Now, I know how I want to use Instagram, so I'm able to be engaged on there. I'm able to have conversations with people, and 98% of the people that follow me on Instagram don't follow me anywhere else.
Wow.
They've never heard of me until I got on Instagram, but I joined that platform knowing what I wanted to use it and how I was going to do it. I didn't want to get on Twitter because I didn't understand the 140 characters. And so I had to understand, how am I going to utilize this platform before I get on it? I was already on Facebook because I joined when I was in college. So I've been on Facebook since like 2005. So I was just there.
Are you trying to make me feel old?
I don't say that, because my 10-year college reunion is this month. Okay. So when I got that email, I said, I'm going to skip it because I'm not that. But LinkedIn, I remember joining in 2012, April 2012. And by May, I had mastered it and I had moved up to the top 1% in a month on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Because I went to a LinkedIn session and I implemented what the lady said to do. And ever since then, I've always been a top 1%er when it comes to LinkedIn. And the reason I joined LinkedIn is because they said that's where the people who have more money are and more decision makers. So I said, okay, excuse me, I'll join LinkedIn. But the thing about LinkedIn is it takes longer to get a buyer because they really understand what they are looking for.
And that's good because, me and you talked a little bit earlier about, kind of massaging, the people that you want to buy. And when people know what they want, that's a good thing. I'd rather a quick no than a long drawn out yes. Just tell me yes or no. I have some people asking questions in the Facebook group. So let me do a little housekeeping. We are on Twitter tonight. If you want to ask a question, you can follow me at Loving B Woods on Twitter. Use the hashtag Powerhouses. Use the hashtag PHU 2016. If you are in the Facebook group, you can post questions there, or you can also post questions in my private inbox. So I'm one of those people that right now I am looking at about 6 electronics. And so I'm going to try to answer all of your questions tonight. So we've talked a little bit about social media platforms, and just to know, things on Twitter, they can grow organically. I found that out myself. The more people like you, people search by hashtags, people who use Twitter, they really do look for topics and hashtags. So if you're big on hashtags, Twitter is probably a good platform for you. The thing that you really need to remember about Twitter is the life of your post is fairly short. And so you may have to post something more than one time for it to be seen by a large audience, and that's okay. If you have a website, you always want to link people back to your website. The one thing that I just want to tell everybody about social media platforms is you don't own them. They're not yours. So as much as possible, my recommendation is to always defer people back to your website. So I'm going to have to put in a plug for Powerhouses United. All of our information for our conference, our videos, you can go to www.powerhousesunited. So even when I post on any social media outlet, I'm always referring people back to that website, because inadvertently you want to train people to come to your home. So your home is your website if you have one. If your home right now is a Facebook page, that's fine. You always want to divert people back to your home. So that's a little bit about social media platforms. So, Vernetta, I have a question for you. You ready? My first question is, when talking to my audience, what should I say? What do they want to know from me?
Well, they want to know what you tell them. It really is that simple. You decide what you're going to share with your audience. And so when we talk about the social media platform, I don't share everything about what I do and who I am on every single platform. Some platforms are better for some parts of who I am and what I do, opposed to other platforms. Like on LinkedIn, I'm not going to share too much about my ordeal with depression and different things of that nature. But guess what? On Twitter and Facebook, those get a lot of retweets, likes on Twitter, get shares and comments on Facebook. It resonates better there. When it comes to, my love of the Dallas Mavericks, I'm probably going to share that more on Facebook and Twitter, probably more so on Twitter. When it comes to shows that I like, that's part of who I am, I'm going to share more so on Twitter, because then I can engage with other people who also use that, like Brandy mentioned, the hashtag. You'd be surprised how many people follow me just based on engaging with other people on those hashtags during live tweeting of award shows, TV shows, or Twitter chats. I've kind of been out of Twitter chats for about a year or two, but I like to live tweet a lot of CNBC shows like The Profit, Billion Dollar Buyer, Follow the Leader that came out. So things like that. I definitely would say engage on the hashtag. The Houston reality show, Sisters-in-Law, the cast likes to tweet with me because I tweet a lot during that show.
Yeah, you are a very good engagement of Twitter. And I know, like, when you're retweeting and you always want to go professional when you're on LinkedIn, because it's geared more towards a professional site. But if I'm going to start a blog, and like myself, I own a school, but I also run Powerhouses United. I'm also a mom. I necessarily can't muddle all of that together. So how do I know which one to talk about with my audience?
Okay, so we'll use you for an example. Okay,
Yay!
so for this, I would definitely post about the school. I would say this to anyone. When I started blogging and I got on LinkedIn, I didn't know. I mean, I knew it was a professional site, but at the same time, my blog was my moneymaker. So guess what I did? I posted links, didn't even care if the links were professional or not. Guess what? LinkedIn was like my third source of traffic. And I got a lot of people who connected with me because I was the first blogger they had actually met, especially when I would go to events here. So another thing, I'm gonna do a quick side note. Go offline to bring people online. So if you have a website, if you have a blog, or anything of that nature, go offline first. I used to go to anywhere from 4 to 7 events per week. That is a lot. It's excessive. I probably would not recommend that for everyone, but I didn't know a lot of people. I left teaching and I didn't know any entrepreneurs in Houston. I didn't know anyone outside of teaching. So I had to really go and introduce myself to a lot of people. And so I would go to different people, go to different events, and I would introduce myself as a blogger. So whatever you do, you know, of course you introduce yourself. But as a blogger, a lot of people had never met one in person. I don't know. We were unicorns. I mean, this is Houston. You would think people would know there are more bloggers here, but I would introduce myself. I got a lot of speaking opportunities that way. A lot of vendors, a lot of places let me become a vendor, and they would cut my fees down because they had never had a blogger. And then I would get prime location, you know, to stand there with my laptop and explain to people what blogging is. So it introduced me to a lot of people. Then I spoke at different entrepreneur and women's groups around the city. Those people connected with me either on Facebook or LinkedIn. Some connected with me on Twitter. So then I started to developing my network. Now I'm at the point where I've switched from blogging to starting the podcast. I don't have to go out per se as much because enough people know my name that I could just email them like, hey, I have a new podcast. Guess what? They're probably going to listen and tell other people about it. So it cuts down on me now having to go offline to bring people online. Now, going back to Brandy with all the different things she has, I would share everything that you do on LinkedIn, probably minus the kids, because a lot of people are complaining about, you know, people posting family, personal stuff on there. On Twitter, I would find education type hashtags and post about your school on that. When it comes to the conference, I would find hashtags related to Houston events or women's conferences or leadership conferences or whatever that is, and then use that. On Facebook, you know, you have your page, you have your group, you have your personal page of that nature. I tell people just share on Facebook because you just never know who sees you, because it's easier to find people on Facebook than it is anywhere else. They made it very public. Everybody is public. Like you literally have to shut things down and privatize your page on Facebook not to be found. On Instagram, I would say, because I'm still new to the platform, depending on if you're using your personal name or if you're using your business name. Now with me, I'm using my name as both. So you're going to see who I am and what I do. Like on LinkedIn, you know, I went to Dairy Queen because I wanted a Blizzard. They offered me the feature of the month, and then they didn't have it. So yeah, I vented on both Facebook and Instagram. And Dairy Queen actually commented on that Facebook page update and said that they wanted to make it right, because I was devastated. I wanted that red velvet Blizzard. So
you just never know who's watching or who's listening. I know when I first decided that I wanted to help other entrepreneurs, I really didn't I had to clean up my social media platforms because they were me and the kids in the park and us at cheerleading practice, and and it's great to share a part of your personal life, but there's kind of a rule to it. You want people to know who you are, but not so much where they are taken aback. So I don't post in my nightgown. I I don't necessarily post when I'm out on a date. I mean, for the longest time, I think people thought that I had no social life, because what you put out there to people, they're going to use to form an opinion about you. And so what you're trying to do, whether you're blogging, you're podcasting, you're doing a webinar, you're trying to establish yourself as a leader. You're trying to establish yourself as a thought provoker and as a change agent in your industry. So for me, I want to help people achieve their goals in business. So I'm always highlighting other women on my Facebook page. If they do something great, if they put out a new post, if they have a new product or a new book, my mantra is creating powerful forces. So if I see another woman or man in business, really doesn't matter to me if they're African American, Asian American, Hispanic, Anglo American, I'm going to highlight them. If one of my friends get published in Huffington Post, I'm going to highlight them. If someone has a new book, I'm going to highlight them. Now, in that vein, I try to make sure I know the character of the people I'm highlighting, so I don't inadvertently endorse someone who is not reputable. So anytime that you are building yourself as a thought leader or a thought provoker and you want to blog, be careful about the mentions you give and the recommendations you give, because they're going to reflect back on you as a business owner. So I have a question. It was about LinkedIn, and I think we covered it, but I just want to cover it for Crystal. And then I also want to answer Natalie's question really quick. Crystal, on LinkedIn, this is my recommendation. If you say you have professional services, give a slide share about your services, or tell people how they can use their services, not necessarily as a commercial, but don't be afraid to offer free information. I offer free information all the time.
Can I make a suggestion because you mentioned SlideShare? LinkedIn owns SlideShare, for those who don't know. So it can be connected to your profile. Another thing I would recommend is to make sure your profile is 100% completed. Make sure your summary has information in there about what you do. Under your job titles, or if you're CEO of a company, you can have pictures, video, PDFs. Like, I have all different types of things underneath each of the job categories that I have listed, because I want you to see these are the things that I have done. Here's proof.
Right. And people do want proof, especially if they're deciding to spend money with you. And I was blessed. I will say this, that I had a lot of corporate contracts before I had a lot of individual contracts, but it doesn't matter. People still want proof that you know what you know and that you can do what you say you can do. So, for example, we have one of the PHU followers, one of our forces. She's great at t-shirt design. I mean, Vicky has some of the best t-shirts designed. She designs for my school. She did a great t-shirt for my daughter's birthday, but nobody cares about what I say about her. They want to see that product. So using pictures, using digital proof, using video, it's always going to help people to connect more with you than just your words alone. Your words alone are great, but those pictures, your videos, your slideshows, those freebies, your checklists, they're going to help people connect with you. You have to remember, you can have a brilliant idea, but if you don't know how to communicate it and you don't know how to connect with it, that good idea may not get you as far as it could, or you may not be able to monetize that idea. Okay, another question that we have, Vernetta. It says, if I'm not already making money, do I need to worry about building a blog or a platform, or I'm sorry, a blog or a podcast if I'm not making money.
Okay, are they making money or they're not making money?
They are not making what I guess what they consider a sizable amount of money. I guess they're in the building phase, and they're trying to see is it too early for them to start a blog or a podcast in their industry.
And so my question to them would be, and then I will answer the question I'm about to ask, what purpose is it for you to have a blog or a podcast? Let's start with the blog. Are you going to use the blog to showcase your product, services, your business? Are you using it as a lead generator? Are you using it as a place where you're giving information and educating people? For your podcast, it can the same thing. Are you using it to educate people? Are you using it to showcase your expertise, your authority on whatever you're doing in that industry? Are you going to do it as an interview style and you bring in other people who are affiliated with your industry and you're showing that now you are the go-to person within that industry? So your platform has multiple purposes. So you have to decide what purpose you're going to have. When I started blogging in 2009, and I was blogging because I could not stand the administration at the school I worked at. So I was blogging to vent about them. Then in 2011, when I started Women Are Game Changers, and the sad thing is the name of that blog was Praying for Purpose. And all I did was vent. Then I started Women Are Game Changers, and that was started because I was tired of seeing negative images of women on reality shows. And I wanted to show everyday women who were doing amazing things that weren't getting the shine. That was my purpose. That's why I started Women Are Game Changers. I started my personal blog because some of the things I wanted to share on Women Are Game Changers, the audience didn't care about. And I wanted a place to share it. So when I started my blog in 2013, it wasn't even going to be a business. It was just my space online for me to share whatever I wanted to. Now it is the hub of my business. So I've had to delete some posts and clean it up a little bit. The podcast actually for me is a way for me to share my entrepreneurial journey and bring friends of mine and share their experience so other people can learn. So that's the purpose of the podcast is a teaching tool. So you have to understand what your purpose is in order to get on a platform. Don't just get on it to get on it. If you know you're not going to be dedicated to blogging, don't get on it. If you know you're not going to be dedicated to podcasting, don't get on it.
And I just want to say this for those of you who don't know, she's not going to say, right now, Vernetta is the leading president, I believe is her title, of the Houston African American Bloggers Association. And we disseminate a lot of information for people who want to become bloggers or have a podcast or a video or vlog. And so if you're interested, make sure that you look up the Houston African American Bloggers Association so you maybe can get more information on how to do it. Because, of course, on tonight, we can't answer every question and tell you how. But let me just tell you a little bit about my journey and why I decided to do webinars. Although I love to write, every time I would sit down to write a blog, I would feel this anxiety come over me, and I would be like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Do I need a period here? Do I need a semicolon? It was too stressful. I was like, one thing I can do is talk. I have made money talking for the last 20 years, and I have no problem sharing my information. And I decided to do a webinar style because I really like face-to-face. But in today's world, unfortunately, we cannot all stop and meet at 7 o'clock at Starbucks to have this webinar, but we can pick up our phone or our electronic device. So I wanted to do a platform that offered location freedom to people who wanted to watch, and that they could also watch at a different time if they could not get on that night. So for me, webinars or video blogging, it was a great fit for me. You guys can go through all of my hairstyle changes, the different colors, red lipstick today, pink tomorrow. It's also a way that I can express my personality. So that's why I chose this platform as my main platform to disseminate information. My purpose was very clear. I wanted to empower and educate women or men, if they chose, to make educated steps to achieving their goals. I wanted to give them the tools, the resources, and the connections. So for me, this was a great platform. I also use it as a lead generator or a way to capture customers or an audience that want to follow my journey through entrepreneurship or want the information that I'm disseminating. So, we have several different goals here, with the webinar series, and you have to be clear, or your blog or your videos, they will all seem schizophrenic, and you will come off to your audience as unauthentic or really not knowing what you're talking about. So my next question, Vernetta, that we have is, how do I plan out my content for however I'm going to disseminate information? They just asked, how do I plan out my content?
Okay, so I love that y'all give general questions, but more specific to your personal would help, because I want to be able to give answers that you can actually apply. So I will answer that question, and then I'll start narrowing it down so it makes more sense. So how do you plan content?
I do have this person's industry. This person runs a nonprofit for women who are battered and are kind of rebuilding their life.
Okay. So when you are planning out content, I always would say probably start with just the month. You don't want to plan the year. I know everyone says plan for the year, plan 6 months. No, if you've never planned content before, do not go over 30 days, because you will feel so overwhelmed that you won't even continue with the process. Okay, because when you're planning content, not only is it content that you're creating, but then you have to figure out how to now put that on the different social media sites, how to put it on your own platforms that you have, and in a way that connects and engages with people. So then you have to think, how am I going to make that content talk to them? So it's a lot. So that's why I say start with 30 days. Now, if you're in an industry where you're helping women, start with, God, I wish I could remember. I think it's like Brownie Locks. I think that's the name of the site. What they do, and you can probably just Google it, what they do is they break down every single day of the year. It's a day of something. It's the month of something. Like this month, I'm seeing some people talk about lupus. Some people are talking about sexual awareness. Some people are talking about finances. All of those are actually existing holidays of some type. So you can go, you can Google it, but I think it's like Brownie Locks or something like that. And they break down, because I know my birthday is like National Ice Cream Cone Day. So it breaks it down that far. That is how you can plan content. So based on your subject, your industry, you take what that website has, and as far as it's breaking down, and you see, how can I tie something that I know people are going to be talking about that's trending into what I'm doing. So if you're helping people rebuild, I think it's August or September, it's like, new life, rebirth, or something like that. So then you can maybe do a blog series one every Monday, so you're not having to do it every day, but say you want to do it every Monday. So then you have something about starting your life over and make it a 5-part series.
That was the other question that we had. It wasn't necessarily about planning the content, but, how often should I be posting or giving information? I mean, this one is a biggie.
It depends on a lot of things, but I always say whatever you do starts with you, because if you can't fulfill something, then don't say I'm going to blog every day. I don't blog every day because I'm not going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it, and a lot of people who are weekly podcasters, they are starting to get burnt out, which I help people prevent, because they're doing something every, even though they may do it batching, you still have to promote that podcast every single week. So what I decided to do was do my podcast in seasons, like a TV show, like so the first season was 7 episodes. So that meant I needed to sit down and plan the pre and those 7 weeks and the week after, as far as content related to the podcast. Now I can take a little break. You'll see the podcast being shared throughout, but it's not like a focus. Like I was posting anywhere from 3 to 7 times a day about the podcast in one way or another.
Right. You have to. If
it was graphics, I was creating little 30-second, 1-minute videos to tell people to watch it. Like you can't just post something online and think that's enough. You need text, you need video, you need pictures, you need graphic, you need quote cards. Like all of that stuff takes time. And if you're sitting there trying to do something every day and it's just you're going to burn yourself out. So for me, I have April and I have May to kind of relax. And my second season is going to come out this summer, which means you will be seeing me a lot everywhere about the podcast. But guess what? I've already started working on some ideas on how I'm going to market it and what I'm going to do, what worked this time and what I'm going to try differently next time.
And that's a really good thing. You'll see us have more webinars around our events. And so you really do have to do what works for you, but you have to be consistent in some way or people will disconnect. And so the beginning.
To say something real quick, when you mentioned consistent, I don't want people to think consistent means it has to happen every single Monday. If you know it's only going to happen from this time frame, tell people. I made a graphic and I said season 1 is from February 14th through March 27th. So people would know that's the time frame you're going to see me post about the podcast heavily. If you have a series on your blog and it's a 4-part series, then you may want to heavily promote that. And then you say for the month of April, every Monday, give people that time frame and say this is a special series and people may know you only post once a month on your blog. So you're letting them know, hey, this is something special, take part. But if it's not going to be every single week or every single month, if it's not going to be consistent like that, then I would say let people know.
That's a good point, because this is all about communicating to your audience. And so let's go back to the purpose why we do all of this, because first of all, communicating and establishing yourself, capturing the audience, connecting with them, and then converting them to a customer, that is your end result. It's great to give out information, but sometimes it takes people multiple times touching you and feeling you and listening to you before they ever decide to become a buyer. So in essence, you're learning to give of yourself, of your information. And there are some people out here that do it well. Houston, Christy Jackson, at one point, she was like giving a wealth of information. You can go to Women's CEO Project now, and you can just go back and look at a library of videos of how much she poured into her audience. And now if she posts something or does something, it's going to fill up. Why? Because for so long she cultivated that audience. I mean, you can look at people like Amy Porterfield, Marie Folio, John Lee Dumas. These people, they took time and they cultivated their audience. So here go my top tips for creating your platform. 1, start simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. Like Vernetta said, do what you can do and stick to it. Number 2, do your research. You cannot do everything at one time. So master one platform and really work on it. And that could be social media platform, or it can also be master blogging, master videos, master Periscope. Master something and stick to it. And, try not to make people jump around too much. Let them know where you are so they know where to find you and they get comfortable for you. And 3, be you. Don't recreate someone else's situation. Authentically, be you. And anytime that you're you, you will flow easier. I cannot duplicate someone else and think people are going to receive me as being authentic. So whatever you say, make sure it's in your voice, because the people who really know you, they're going to connect to your voice. And the people that are going to buy from you, they need to know who you are. Or once they buy from you, they're going to be like, you are a fraud. And so you want to make sure that through the whole process that you're being you, that you're giving people the best of you. So I want to take this time for Vernetta to tell us about.
Can I make one comment on that? And you have to be okay if people don't like who you are.
Yes.
I know that I know who I am, and I know I come off as very straightforward and direct. And I'm okay knowing that it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I'm okay knowing that everyone's not going to want to work with me because of how I come off to them. And you have to be okay with that. I know when I work with people, I'm not going to be easy, but at the same time, I'm going to give them what they need in order to do what they want to do. That's why they came to me. But I am a very direct person. I'm very straightforward. And what you see is what you get. If you see what I post online or how you take it online, you can ask Brandy. That is how I talk offline too. So I'm the same person in front of, behind, off of the camera. I'm the same person. So you have to be okay with that. And a lot of times people aren't showing who they are because they haven't accepted themselves yet. And here's one thing I told someone this weekend. People don't change. They just become who they are. So when you start seeing people online and you're like, man, she's changed. No, she's probably always been that person, but she's been afraid to show who she is because people are going to judge. She may not think she'll make money if people know she's a certain way or whatever the case may be. People become who they are. And once they become who they are, then you take it or leave it. With me, I understand. People are going to like me or not like me. There's no middle ground. You like me or you don't like me, and I'm okay with that. If you don't like me, I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna hold that against you.
I just want to say that I love you to pieces. I just love you so much. And I just, just to give honor where honor's due, I really thank Vernetta and her part of bringing Powerhouses United, to the world, because it was a group of us that brought this project to the world. Niecy Dixon, as well as Marquita Samuel, we birthed this project together, and it was so great that in our own right, we were each unique. And that's what you have to show your audience. You have to be honest and show them who you are. So, Vernetta, we got to wrap this puppy up, but I want you to tell people, what are you doing, how they can connect with you, but do not get off this webinar because I have some exciting news to share.
Okay, so when we talked about platforms, some of the questions we're talking about how to engage with people, and no one seemed to ask the question, how do I know if my audience is on that platform? So I have a webinar called the 3 C's of Efficient Engagement. And it breaks down who your crowd is, your community, and your client, and how to know where to find them. And I will post that information, but you can find it at gumroad.com/L/3 C's of Efficient Engagement. Long name, I know, it's not a bit.ly, but I will post it, and use PHU 2016 for a code, for a discount on there. But essentially, that webinar is going to help you understand here what we're doing, what we're talking about when it comes to your platform. In order for you to even build a platform, you need to know who you're building that platform for. While Brandy is running that, I will keep talking. Okay, so let's take what I said for Facebook. Facebook, I don't make money from. Facebook is not a platform where I have customers, but Facebook has my crowd, my audience. So I'm going to share, I'm going to give information, because guess what? They refer people to me. They share my information. They send my information to where it needs to go. So I'm going to continue to give my information to them, because they're doing their job as part of my audience, and that is to take it and give it to other people. Okay, so that's pretty much what the webinar is going to break down for you, is, how to engage with people on the different platforms.
Thank you, Vernetta. So the way that you guys can make sure that you get the information is, I'm sorry, it will be in the actual Facebook group. I just wanted to give you guys a little information about PHU.
Okay, so while Brandy is running to go do that, I want to say that I've enjoyed this. If you have more questions, use the hashtag PHU2016 or tag me in the Facebook event page, and I'll answer those questions as well.
So PHU will be April 30th in Houston, Texas at the Houston Food Bank. All of the information is on the PHU site, which is www.powerhousesunited. I have some amazing women at the conference, so I wanted to give you guys a little snippet of the lineup. Brandy Spencer of Fearless Business will be there, and you'll be able to see her profile and her bio in the Facebook group and on the website. Also, Tammy Durton, my great friend, will be there. She is the author of Get Up, Dust Yourself Off and Win. And she's going to be helping us get our mindset in gear to really execute our business. And of course, I'll be there, the Profit Maven herself, teaching you how to monetize your skills and actually make money in your business. On that day, you will leave with 7 powerful steps to make sure that your quarter is a 6-figure quarter if you choose. So everyone who knows me, you know that I'm on a race to 7 figures, and I share that with everybody out the gate, that I really want to work with people who aspire to be 7-figure earners. And the reason why I say that is because if you think about 6 figures, it's not a difficult goal if you have a great product. But 7 figures, it's a stretch, and I really want to be with you for the marathon ride. But if you're still establishing your business, I don't want you to get fearful and think that this is not a great conference from you. Because from the beginning of this conference, we're going to be laying some of the groundwork and the foundational things that you need to run a profitable business. After you're running a profitable business, we're going to teach you how to systemize and itemize so you can scale your business to give you time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom if you desire. I'm so excited about this event. The registration is open and it's only $47. Now, let's analyze this. $47 is a hot meal at Papa Do's with a nice refreshing beverage. I don't want to hear that it's too expensive. Now, if you're busy that day or you have other plans or you just don't like this cute face, then I understand. But I priced this event in such a way that anybody that really wanted the tools to grow their business, that they could come on and that they can be there in the room with other powerhouses on that day. If you're not in the Houston area, you can email me at powerhousesunited@gmail.com, and I can help you with hotel arrangements. And we'll have a preferred hotel on the website. If you want to drive in from Dallas or you just want to fly in, come on down. There will also be opportunities to work with me after the event in a mastermind, and we'll be talking about that a little bit closer to the event, but that won't be until the summer. So you'll have time to put everything in place that you learned at PHU and then wrap around with me and a host of other speakers in a mastermind to really get your business growing. So $47. I know that you can invest that in yourself and in your business. I'm not going to even talk about the fact that it's tax deductible, because all of you people waste $47 every week. I want you to get the skills that you need to grow your business. I want you to become a force. So tell your friends about Powerhouses United. Make sure that you sign up on the mailing list at powerhousesunited.com. On the next 2 webinars, I will be giving giveaways. I have a book by Christy Jackson, her new planner, and also a book by Tammy Durden that I'm going to be giving out on the next 2 webinars. The next webinar is with my lovely, lovely sister, Miss Natalie Woods-LaFall, who knows all things marketing. She's worked with multi-million-dollar budgets as well as startups to get them on the road. And then our last webinar will be with the only Miss Brandy Spencer, who will teach us Fearless Business 101. So we're so excited that you shared tonight with us. Please give us your feedback. You can give it to us on Facebook, on the Powerhouses United page, on my personal page, or even in the event for tonight. Remember, connect with me on the website, www.powerhousesunited.com. Now, I can't leave tonight without giving out hugs and kisses to Miss Vernetta Freeney. Thank you for all your expertise. And I just want to give a personal thank you for supporting me over the last 2 years. I mean, over the last year, there's never been something I asked you to do that you hesitated in doing. And so I send my genuine gratitude to you and the podcast. And I'm so proud of you for Selling Women Are Game Changers. It's just a testament to business owners that you can have an exit plan that includes selling your business. And so I'm so proud of the example that you're giving to all the striving business owners in the Houston area. So do you have any last words for us?
I want to say thank you for having me. And for all those who may not know the story, I learned so much from Brandy, Marquita, and Anicia while we were creating Powerhouses. Some of the stuff I'm still using today. So that's what community can do for you. You know, you learn from other people, you learn from their strengths, you learn from what they do very, very well, and you try to apply it to yourself. Again, I want to thank you for having me on here, and you know, I'm interested in seeing how your race to 1 million goes. Like, I'm you know how they do those little thermometer things where they're trying to raise money at the churches. I want to see something like that, you know, like, hey, I finished phase 1. You know, we don't need to know the details of phase 1, but I finished phase 1, phase 2, or whatever the case may be, like a Monopoly game or something. But for those who are hesitant or not sure if they want to go, think about all of the conferences you go to and you leave and you're like, I just wasted my money. That does not happen here, because trust me, we all sat for weeks and we had very heated discussions to make sure that that would not happen. For all of you who come and who want to take something from the conference and actually apply it to your business that day. That was the whole point, is to, you know, once you leave, you're a powerhouse because you have the skills and knowledge that you need to go out and conquer the world. So I'm excited for you guys, those who are listening. I've been trying to tweet and share. If you saw me looking down, to let people know, you know, support. This is a local Houston-based conference, and it's not the typical fluff church fan, amen, sister girl. I've done scopes on that. You know, is actual practical knowledge, and that's what I like.
Yes, so I hope to see you guys at PHU. Come with your pen, paper, and calendar action steps. And if you need to, your bank statements. Let us help you out. I want you to leave that day empowered and ready to conquer your piece of the world, because God gave us all something to do, and only you can do what He called you to do. And so I will see you at PHU. And hopefully I'll see you at the bank, because that's where I'm headed to. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for being a powerhouse. Thank you for being a force. Go right now, www.powerhousesunited.com. Get on the mailing list, sign up for the conference, and tell a friend. I'm so happy you decided to spend your Monday with me, and I love you much.
Night.
Good night.